I get a call a few hours later, and she's like, I want the fucking. I'm like, here's your mission if you choose to accept it. Yes, I'm going to fucking American Idol audition again.
Kick off those sandals, Reed.
Right? Love and tradition of the grand design. Oh, in it. You are just so in it. We're needing practices as humans to be able to remember how to feel. My energy is moving out. Killer presence and killer voice. Tenacious. She's so great. And then you show up and it's like, all right, 2, 3. Just music is, it seems like a fucking miracle.
There he is.
Yeah. Oh, no.
Ready? Now that's a look of pure joy.
Oh my God, look at you. Holy shit.
Just look at me. Look at you with that hair.
I know.
Fabio.
I know.
I think yours is better than his.
What's that?
I think yours is better than his.
I'm actually so I've been growing this, obviously for a while, but then since I haven't,
I saw you.
yeah, right. Jesus. This year I decided because I have it for Halloween, I'm going Tarzan.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, while I have it.
So, what the hell's going on, Reed Grimm?
Oh man, dude, so much. It's so crazy to see you and to talk to you after like how long has it been? I mean, it's been over 10 years.
Yeah, in looking at some of our history and Facebook messages and stuff like that, it looks like, I reached out to you once, and there might have been a chit chat here and there, but pretty much one of the last times we talked, at least according to Facebook, was 2010. I think we played a show together at the Miramar Theater in Milwaukee.
Oh yeah.
Thinking we opened up for you guys. Yeah, well, I don't know who opened up for who. It doesn't really matter, but it was like October of 2010, and I do recall the gig. Previous band Chinese Finger Trap had just kind of split, and you and I can get into some of those days. Those were fun times. But for this particular gig, my brother and I had gotten our old band at Gypsy Kitchen back together, and it was on John Lennon's birthday, I think. So we played like Instant Karma. Asking you something about like a collaboration for that gig.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. So that was, and there's probably going to be some stories that you've told too many times, but I'm going to ask you anyways, because the whole, this whole platform is for reaching my, idea for it is to reach the artists that not everybody knows about, the local unsung heroes who grind every day, every week, every month. Gig after gig after gig, and might not be well known outside of their town or outside of the region, let alone national level. So trying to open up some new doors, some new possibilities for people, for artists, and introduce those people to a wider crowd and a wider audience. So going back, let's talk. I mean, Shoeless Revolution has been your band for how long? How long has that been a thing?
Yeah, so next summer, it will be 20 years.
Holy shit.
20. Yeah, our first, like as Shoeless Revolution, our first gig outside of campus was July 5th, 2005. We had a couple on campus. The way it started was I got asked as Reed Grimm to put on a show at the Cellar, which was like a student union sort of cafeteria, like lounge space with a stage. And I said, hey, can I bring some friends? They said, of course. So I brought some friends, and that first gig was labeled as Reed Grimm and Friends. But then by the time we got to the stage, we decided our name was going to be Reed Grimm and the Bubblers. That was our very first gig.
All right.
I think it was October of 2004. And then we had one more on-campus gig. And then for the winter, we just kind of went into the shed, and played, just practiced and wrote and jammed. And then, yeah, summer of '05 was our first official gig. So, yeah, next year is going to be 20 years, which is
Damn.
absolutely crazy. And we're still playing. We're still
Yeah.
like actively playing. We're not touring like we used to, but we definitely are playing a large handful of gigs every year.
Hell yeah. And again, I don't, my ignorance is just as well, because a lot, like, again, a lot of people here might not know stories and this, that, and the other. But in terms of recording of albums and that kind of thing, I just saw Spotify, and I saw the video actually a year or two ago, whatever it was. You guys still recording. Most recently, perhaps, was some skunk funk. Which, just in terms of taking that on, you got to be a nasty motherfucker just to think about taking that song on. And when it comes to drumming, I know you're a nasty motherfucker.
Oh man,
But
same.
that recording's phenomenal.
Oh,
So
thank you.
what have you guys been up to in terms of studio work, if touring has slowed down a little bit?
Yeah, yeah. So as far as studio, we did take a bit of a hiatus from touring, from heavy gigging and from studio stuff. But more recently we've actually gotten in and we've done kind of we're like, all right, do we bust out some new things? Do we revisit some old stuff? Do we do some things that we will challenge us, like Skunk Funk? And so we've really just done a small, like, a handful of sessions in the studio, trying to get good video, trying to, to be able to get it out there on socials, just because that's what it is today.
You got to get that content, right?
Gotta get the content, and so and that's a whole game of, we want to be able to just like write and release music and just have people know about it, but there's so much available now that you really need to work and grind to get people's attention. And then once you get their attention, to keep their attention so that you can, you know, cultivate a vibe together and a reality where you can share space, share your expression, and people, it's a give and receive on both ends,
For sure.
system.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man. Yeah, it's a challenge for sure. Trying to keep up with it all, like you said, holding people's attention. I mean, I fall into the same category of human being, and our attention spans probably not what they used to be. It's
Definitely not.
that of a goldfish, it seems like. And releasing content more than sometimes 15-30 seconds is like way too long. So
No,
um
it's
so
crazy. Then you have things like this, long form content
right.
where you're able to have, tap into that piece of our brain that's like, okay, I need to sit still and I need to I care enough to pay attention for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, or more.
Yeah, and that gives me hope. I've again felt that's a category I've fallen into, the Logging Forum podcast, and in those conversations that remind us all that we are human beings and we can relate to one another, and
Mhm.
things don't have to be reduced to sound bites. Things don't have to be binary. We can talk. We can figure out things.
Yes, yes.
For better or worse, despite all the differences, we might have way more similarities. And hey, I mean, music is such a common factor that we can all get behind and just all shut the fuck up about for a while and just get funky and dance. You know what I mean? Don't worry
Yes.
about that stuff. So,
Yeah.
yeah, man, I'm glad you guys are still working at it. Um, so tell everybody, if you would, the whole experience, because honestly, I was so, I don't want to say taken aback or surprised. I guess I just did, but you know, um, where I'm going with this, with the
Sure.
Idol experience.
Sure.
It just seemed like, holy shit, it's one of us on TV. And you know, if anyone was going to do it, it was you. And I mean
Oh
that
man.
because you are such a badass drummer. There's, I try to be supportive of everybody despite skill levels or style or anything like that. But you're nasty. It's objective. It's just what it is.
Thank you.
But then you got this voice, and
Mhm.
especially in like the jam community, some of us can like sing,
Sure, sure.
can carry a tune or harmonize or whatever, but you
Right.
can fucking sing.
Oh
And
man,
that
thank
was
you.
proven. Again, you know what? Going back to that gig, I think it was that gig at the Miramar, October of 2010. I
Yeah.
remember you guys did. I think it was that gig. Happiness is a warm gun.
Oh yeah, we
Yeah.
totally did that.
And I mean, just to take on any Beatles tune again, it's an undertaking, like some Skunk Funk, an
Mhm.
undertaking for the Beatles because they're masters of their craft. Their voices are immaculate,
Yeah.
and you better do them justice. And you did. You did. So anyway, in all my
Oh,
ramblings here, I'm trying to get you to talk about the American Idol experience.
sure, sure, sure. Yeah. Well, thank you for all that. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
It's humbling coming from you because you too are a nasty motherfucker. And yeah, dude,
Thanks, buddy.
man, and I could go into that just playing the popcorn, seeing Chinese finger trap for the first time, just being like, fuck yeah, let's go. We were so stoked for you guys and to be collaborating and just, to be able to grow and expand our network with just badass musicians doing badass shit. So thank
Mhm.
you for all
Yeah,
that.
I
Um,
appreciate that too.
yes. So yeah, how it all went down was my so when I was in high school is when American Idol began. And I remember seeing it and I was like, oh shit, this is different. It's kind of like old, like a new school Star Search talent, contest type thing. And I was in high school and I was like, you know what? I want to try out for that. So then I ended up trying out for seasons 2, 3, 4, and 5. So, like when I was in high school and just going into college, and I never made it past the very first round of like the cattle call, they call it, where you're just in a stadium with thousands of people, and there's a bunch of tables on the field, and there's producers, and then you just go and you sing a little bit, and then they're like, yay or nay, and I just never made it past. So then I was like, you know what? I guess it's not for me. And I had begun Shoeless at that point, and I was in another band called Three Beers Till Dubuque in college.
I think I remember that. The
Yeah,
name is very familiar, too familiar to just it escaped my brain. So
right, right. Yeah, there was a horn band where I was just the lead singer, and it was fun. So I had other shit going on, which I was like, you know what? This is just where I'm at, and cool. So then I didn't plan on auditioning at all ever again. And, just years go by. And then I was on my way to a show in Fargo with Mark Grundhofer,
now with the
right?
big woo.
Yes, now with the big woo,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
exactly. Who used to be the leader of Down Low? Remember Down Low?
Absolutely.
Dude.
Absolutely. We should probably schedule an interview with Mark as well.
Oh yeah, 1,000%. He would
Great
love it.
guy, hell of a player, ton of energy on stage. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, good call. I was on my way to play with him, and I get a call from my older sister. So just to backtrack a little bit, my family were all musicians. My mom and dad met in a show band in the 70s. Like my mom was in this band, she was a backup singer, and then the male and female lead were a couple, and they got pregnant and they left the band. So then my mom went from backup female to the lead female, and they had an audition for a male lead, and that ended up being my dad.
Perfect.
Seriously,
I
fucking
mean, you can't write
storybook.
that stuff.
I know, I know. So then all of us are musicians and performers in our own right. It's four kids. My older brother is a dueling pianist, does that full time. My older sister is a like incredible singer, songwriter, just badass all around performer. And then my younger sister is a musical theater actress in Chicago and also a badass. And so I'm on my way to this gig in Fargo, and I get a call from my older sister, and she's like, "Hey, Reed, I'm in Florida. I'm at Disney World, and there's this karaoke, basically a glorified karaoke contest for the whole day, and the winner gets a ticket to the front of the line at an American Idol audition. But I'm too old for the show, and within the rules, I can transfer it to someone. If I won, would you want it? And I was like, whoa. Just it had been years since I had even put my head in that space.
Yeah.
And I was like, just a different person. And I was like, I mean, shit, if you win and I get to go to the front of the line and just kind of, skip it all and just go to the front and do the thing, sure, let's do it. So she's like, okay, cool. I get a call a few hours later and she's like, I won the fucking day. I was like, oh, Jesus Christ. Okay. I guess I'm going to fucking American Idol audition again. So then it was a few months after that, and I went to the front of the line, and it was it was a thing where I it was it's like four lines going into each table. There was like 15 tables or so with different producers, and I'm in this group with like three girls that are like maybe 15 to like 17, and I'm at this point I'm 26 and have all this experience from not only like American Idol stuff, but then just my lifetime of performance experience. And the first times that I had auditioned, I was like dressed up, had like pressed collared shirt and like slacks, and I was just really like, yo, I'm what you need. Like I just had, I was young and just
You
like, come
weren't
on.
being yourself, were you?
Right. Yeah, exactly. And so then this time I was like, fuck it. I was in flip-flops, plaid cargo shorts. It was summer, it was like August, and like a family uh softball tee that was Grimm and Race softball that we had sponsored, my family had sponsored years ago. And I look over and we're at the front of the line. And so the producers are like, okay, just give us a couple seconds, and we'll start the day because they were getting ready for the whole fucking day. And I was like, cool. And I step back and I look at these girls to my left, and they're all just shook. They're just so nervous, so tight. And I look, it's like, and I kick off my flip-flops and I just start going into like deep yoga stretches. I'm just like loosening up. Just, oh God, all right, here we are. And then a little bit goes by, a minute, and the producer's like, all right, Reed, it looks like you're warmed up. You ready to go? I was like, yep, let's do it. So then instead of singing like some crazy pop song, I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna sing something that I think is fun and they probably haven't heard, which was the theme song to the TV show Family Matters.
Oh, okay. I was gonna kind of hoping you'd say something like you went old school, like your Ray Charles route, Otis Redding, something kind
Oh,
of that
right.
50s, 60s R&B soul something, because that you can do really
Yeah.
well. Okay,
So
Family Matters.
yeah, I ended up doing that later in the show. But this one, I was like, oh, this is something totally out of the blue, like left field. And I just did an a cappella version of it. And also, as I was, prepping, I was like, oh, it's also a good message, because a lot of the music that I've written has been kind of in the vein of like just wanting to expand my consciousness and just
Sure.
awareness of life and positive messages. And so I thought, oh, that's a great, you know, days go by, but it's the deeper love in the family. And I was like, all right, cool, great.
So, can I get a snippet of that? What it sounds
Oh
like?
shit. Oh wow. Okay. Let's see. So if I was doing it today, let's
Kick
see.
off those sandals, Reed.
Right. It's a rare condition this day and age when reading the good news on the newspaper page. Love and tradition of the grand design. Oh, some people say it's even harder to find it. Well, there must be some magic clue inside the gentle one. with all I can see is the top of a dream. Oh, real love bursting out of every seam. Ah, days go by, it's deeper love than a fair money eating days go by, yeah. But it's deeper love than a family.
And there it is. I can see why you passed the audition. When's the
Yeah.
last time you did that?
Oh man, it's been a hot minute, dude. That's wild. I wasn't expecting to do that. So, but yeah, that it, it totally, it sounded different when I did it there because that was also part of, it's just part of my expression is having an understanding of a song and then being able to take it where it leads in the moment as
Yep.
opposed to being a super polished. And if it needs to be, then I can do that. But it's just more more fun, more alive
A
to be.
musician's musician, able
Yeah.
to think on the fly, to take it where it needs to go, like you said.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I did that and they were like, "Oh shit. All right. You're going through." And it was like, "Whoa." I had auditioned years before and never done it. So got through and went through the like there were two other auditions before meeting the judges, and that year the judges were Randy Jackson, um, Jennifer Lopez, and Steven Tyler,
Okay.
which was so crazy to
I've heard of
be.
him. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, right. And so saw them and they loved it, and um, it was such a surreal thing to do. It's like, I think it was like 2 months, like roughly like a month and a half or 2 months between that first original cattle call audition and then the actual seeing the judges
Okay.
audition. Yeah, so there's a lot of production, a lot of time in that. And then got through there. And then it was another few months before going to Hollywood Week. And that was, I think there was maybe like 350-ish people at that point going there. And it was a back and forth rounds between a solo audition and group auditions. And there was like maybe 5 different rounds. I met a bunch of people, made a bunch of friends who I'm still in contact with today. And, like, I mean, there was some crazy shit. There was one round that it was the first round that I could actually play an instrument and sing.
I was going to ask you, at one point, did you bust the drums out?
I did. But originally I wasn't going to for that round because everyone else was doing it. And I was like, I kind of want to stay different. And I was like, I'm going to stay a cappella and kind of do even more stuff in it. And
Yeah, but how many drummers are ever on that show, let alone nasty motherfuckers?
ah. Well, okay, so I ended up doing it, but it was wild. There was this whole thing that never aired, which was I did an audition that round. I did an a cappella version of Price Tag by Jesse J.
Okay.
It's not about the money, money, money. Forget about the money, money. Want to make the world dance. Forget about the price tag. It's like it's great. Love it. But I got up there and I started doing it and I forgot the lyrics. And it was a cappella, so there was no band. It was radio silence. And then I remembered them, and then I kept going, and then I forgot them again, and then I remembered them. So it was just this glitch audition. And I walk up to Ryan Seacrest afterwards, and he's like, "Yo, so Reed, what happened there?" I was like, "Man, I don't know." But I was like, "I'm done." I was like, "I guess I'm done." But then Nigel Lithgow, one of the executive producers, came up to me in that moment, was like, Reed, you weren't supposed to be able to do it a cappella, so you need to do another audition and with the band." And I was like, "Holy shit, you are literally changing the rules on the fly because there was a sign up sheet that we could do it a cappella, like, and I was the only one who did it. And so that's why he was able to say that. So I was like, holy shit. And then I had this crazy existential moral dilemma. And like, it just, this is what happened because I had met these amazing people, other contestants. And I was like, shit, there's only a certain amount of people going through. So if they give me a second chance and I go through, that means someone else isn't going through. And I was like, maybe I shouldn't do it because, and like my moral high ground, I was like, and I was like, I need to call my fucking mom. I need to call my family. I need the grounding. I need some counsel.
You used a lifeline?
I did. And I was like, can I call my family? They're like, nope, you need to go. And I was like, nope, I'm calling my family. And I literally ran ran away, like ran to my hotel room. And there was a cameraman chasing me to my room. And I got there and he's like, okay, you can do it. It's okay. I just need to get the footage. So I go and I call my mom. She didn't answer. It's like, okay, I called my older sister and she did. And she's like, okay, we worked it through. And she's like, well, can you play drums? And I was like, yeah, I can. And she's like, well, why don't you do that? And I was like, and as confused and as lost as I was, because I was having the very real experience that I was at the really like the epicenter of like pop culture, like we're talking American Idol,
Yeah.
and I am now given a second chance to stay on this show because they want me to stay on the show. And I'm like, what the fuck? It was just such a to say surreal doesn't feel like it gives it, it's weight because yeah, I just didn't have a playbook for this in my life. So I was as spacey and airy and as confused as I was. Then once I was like, wait, I can play drums, and I knew what the song list was, and I was like, oh shit, I can play Georgia, Ray Charles. And I've
Okay.
played that 1,000 times.
So maybe that was in my head.
I've played that song 1,000 times on drums and leading it. And so then I was like, shit, I'm at the epicenter of pop culture and I'm about to fucking destroy this song. Like I was just like
Yeah.
I was so confident in it because I had just done it forever. And so then I get and I had to rehearse with the band real quick. It was because everything is so fast and it's on a time schedule, So I get there, we do a quick run through, and I do it, and then they say, okay, introduce yourself and then tell people why you're the next American Idol. Like they do, these things. And because I was so just like out of my mind, but also at the same time completely confident in my abilities, I remember saying, I'm the next American Idol because I have something that ain't nobody else got, like because I was just, oh fuck, I'm playing drums, I'm singing, and I'm familiar with this. I feel really great. And I'm looking back at that moment because you can see it. I'm just like, oh man, Reed, you were just in it. You were just so in it. Just wild. But then I did the performance and it was great. It felt good. It was solid. And the judges were just like, that's real music. It's just in the moment, honestly expressing myself. And it was one of the like, pinpoint experiences of that entire journey that I remember, like a defining, like pivotal kind of a moment
Yeah,
in.
I think even as a even local musicians with certainly not that type of claim to fame or whatever, but when you nail something, when you're in it as you expressed, and
Yeah.
it's a good show or even a good performance of a particular tune, a solid jam, whatever it might be, you tend to remember that.
Yeah.
We all remember those good shows, those good, and we're not on the precipice of pop culture in the national
Right.
spotlight, whatever it might be. So that's
Yeah.
I mean, that's so phenomenal to hear, and I can only imagine the pictures that you've got stored in your old head computer there.
Yeah, yeah, it's just so wild. Like, okay, and when I play kit, I actually keep it really minimal. Like at this point, I'm just doing kick, snare, hat, floor, ride, crash. It's just like the
Not a single rack tom,
not a single rack tom.
like a true three-piece kit.
Yeah, yeah,
Sweet. I'm
yeah.
rocking four-piece kit, and I thought I was a minimalist.
Well, as lead singing too, it's like my energy is moving out, and so I'm like, you know what? I don't need a lot. If I can't make it work with this, then I have a different problem, you know?
Yeah,
So, but yeah, so the kit that I played on that show was like, I think it was like five toms,
of
you know?
course.
And so I had to at the last fill, the big trash can at the end. It was fun every once in a
I
while.
think it's probably mandated in the American Idol contract that you have to
Yeah,
have at least five toms, and you got to do that fill at the end.
that's exactly right. I nailed that one.
Um, that's awesome, man. So obviously that was an experience, a journey in and of itself. But
Yes.
uh, where is it? Where are you today? What's I know you're not touring quite as much, but you're definitely
Hmm.
still playing shows. You're
Oh yeah.
based in Twin Cities,
Yep, yep, Minneapolis.
and are you playing like regular, weeklies, monthlies, anything like that, or regional shows? Like what is the touring schedule of Reed of Shoeless Revolution looking like?
Yeah, yeah. So I'm in a few different groups. Shoeless Revolution proper. We're a four-piece. We used to have three horns that we called the Tritone Army, which was fun.
You like
But
that?
yep. We still play. Um, probably, yeah, I'd say 6 to 10 shows a year, and that's locally. Sometimes we get hit up by fans of ours that want us to play like their wedding or their, anniversary or birthday party or whatever, which is always fun. So I have that. But then actually the Shoeless Trio, the three original members, we actually have been doing some stuff and we got asked to play at our alma mater in lacrosse for the University of Wisconsin Lacrosse Music Department Scholarship Gala as the three of us, and we were featured artists. So we just actually did that this last weekend, which was amazing. We put together, it was a theater show, 75, 80 minutes, and it was a program we called Rhythm and Roots. So it was songs, pieces that we were inspired by growing up before college, and then while we were in college together, and then post college where we've written our own stuff. So it's kind of a narrative there. And we had friends of ours that we went to school with come and join us, and then also new students that were current come and play with us. So we were, kind of bridging the gap generationally as well. Um, and then we held a big jam at the Popcorn Tavern, hosted by the
Yeah.
Shoeless Trio, and that was a huge success because it did the same thing. It brought the old heads from town down to the popcorn, and then the new students. And the owner was like, "This is such a special thing for the culture here in lacrosse." And one of the new students came up to me personally and expressed his gratitude in this incredibly mature, humble way of just recognizing the importance of the jam culture and meeting people and networking and collaborating, and how it's such a special event. So it was so humbling and gratifying to just hear that, and to know that we're still doing things that are relevant and that are important, you
Yeah.
know, to
Yeah.
the music scene. So that was really cool. So yeah, Shoeless Trio, we're doing stuff. I'm in a group called, I have my own music, Reed Grimm project, where, I'm the band leader. I'll play drums, but also sometimes I'll have an aux player, aux percussion, take over the drum set, and then I'll just go up front and lead, which is fun.
That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, it
That's a
is.
beautiful thing to be able to, I play a few other instruments, not nearly as well, but
Oh,
uh, as well. But no, no, when you can get that secondary percussionist or someone who can hold their own behind the kit
mhm.
to allow you to do something else to express yourself in a different way, it's a fun thing. And I say that,
Yeah.
as maybe coming from almost a selfish place. It's like, ooh, this allows me to go over here and tinker around for a little bit. And let's be honest, I mean, I always joke around that every guitar player in the world secretly wishes that they were a drummer because they love nothing more, guitar players, than getting behind the kit and pretending like they know how to play the drum.
Oh, right.
But
Oh
we
my
like to
God.
do it too, on guitar,
Right.
on keys, on whatever it might be.
Of course. Of course. Yeah. I actually on that tip, I have a show coming up that I've been creating for a while. It's the weekend before Halloween. It's October 26th in Minneapolis at a spot called Green Room. Which is a new venue. If any of your listeners, collaborators are heading to Minneapolis, check out Green Room. It's about a year and a half old. It's just under like 400 capacity.
Mhm.
Amazing vibe, amazing sound. The GM is the musician, so he understands that side of it. So he's like really has it set up well for touring bands coming through, treats everyone so well. And it's a treat to play. So I'm actually producing a show there for Halloween, a jungle theme show. Uh, and I'm playing the Reed Grimm project is playing my niece. I have my niece.
So
Uh,
the green room you said?
the Green Room, yeah. So Green Room, amazing spot. And it's a Halloween show. It's the Saturday before Halloween, so October 26th. Reed Grimm project, is that's the band that's going to be playing. And then I also have my niece opening up. Her name is Sophia Cruz, and she's based out of Chicago, and she's an amazing singer-songwriter. She's got this sultry, like alto voice, but she's also like came up as a drummer. So she's got pocket and feel. She's so great. She's opening, then my band is playing, and then a local group here in the Twin Cities called Purple Funk Metropolis, which
Perfect.
is like, yeah, 7-piece band doing primarily instrumental uh dance funk stuff, but like great musically too, like songwriting, really interesting stuff and great players. So it's gonna be a jungle fucking dance party in that place. And it's green room, so like it's already decorated, it's all green, and we're gonna, bring in some vines and some, greenery, just and make it a jungle ween is what it's called. So
Oh, so perfect. You have
yeah.
no idea how much I love hearing that. So the band that you mentioned, Purple, say it again, Purple,
Purple Funk Metropolis.
are they primarily original music or is it some covers or
Yeah, primarily original.
perfect?
Yeah,
Uh,
you can check them out. They're on Spotify and YouTube and all this stuff. So is
uh,
Sophia Cruz. Check her out.
we'll include some links for sure.
Please, please.
So speaking of songwriting, are you primarily the songwriter for Shoeless, or what's your process looking like? Are you writing and how often? Yeah, what's it look like?
Yeah, yeah. So within Shoeless, I would say that I'm probably the one that brings in the most original tunes, and then I'm the primary lyricist in the group. Um, and then for my own project, I am the writer. And
That makes
so
sense. You're
it
not
makes
outsourcing
sense.
that.
Right, yeah, ghostwriting. Uh, although, I'll totally collaborate, with songwriters and get that together. And I have some stuff that I'm working on with a friend in particular that will be, the next batch of tunes that will be released. Some of them will be co-written, and produced. The but yeah, this summer has been actually pretty slow for my writing. I'm also a part of a group that does more. So I have the jam and original side of things. And then I also am part of a group, a greater group called the International Musicians League, IML. Have you heard of this?
I've not.
So so it's pretty wild. Like for gigging musicians, it's an amazing network. And what it is a kind of this umbrella company that has satellite groups in not every, but most major cities
Mhm.
where each city has its own like band name. So in Minneapolis, it's the band is called the Blue Water Kings. And in Chicago, it's the same, Blue Water Kings. But then in Denver, it's something else. I can't remember what the name of that is, but like in Portland, Oregon, it's called the Blue Wave Band. And in New York City, I think it's called Silver Arrow.
Okay.
And it's just different things, but it's all part of this network. And so what it is kind of this group where uh you have producers in each city that work with clients that, if it's a private party, if it's a corporate thing or a wedding or anniversary or whatever, they work with the clients and then they're like, okay, what's your budget? What sort of show do you want? Like what sort of production value are you looking at? All these things. And then they work out all those details. And then once all those details are set, then the producer reaches out to the network of musicians in the city and is like, hey, here's a date, here's the details, and here's what your role would be if you choose to accept it. Kind of like here's your mission if you choose to accept it.
Sure.
And and if you want it, you can have it. If you decline, you can decline it. If you're busy or you just can't do it for whatever reason, no big deal. And so I've described it as kind of like Uber for gigging musicians, where it's like, oh, here's a potential ride, accept or decline.
Sure. Kind
And
of a rotating roster as well of musicians.
yes, right. So,
Maybe a core group or whatever, but as I said, a rotating roster, second string. I don't know if that's the right analogy, but
well, it's wild because I know in the Twin Cities, there are now three producers that are all booking gigs simultaneously. And so on any given night, like especially on the weekends, there'll be like maybe 10 to 12 different bands out as the Blue Water Kings.
okay.
So there's like a couple hundred or maybe a few hundred musicians on the roster in the Twin Cities. And then you get, looped in and there's all these different roles, where you're a band leader, if you're an instrumentalist and you're a singer, there's different pay grades and all these things. So it's nice, like supplemental stuff for, if you're working on original stuff or if you have other projects that are happening and then it's like, oh, you have some open dates. Oh, here's a local thing where you can make a few $100 or more
Sure.
doing this more straight, you know, corporate private party thing, which I feel it is a nice uh set like skill set to be able to have, and there's no rehearsal. Everyone just does the homework. There's
Right.
a someone who is designated as the band leader. They write the set list the week before or about a week out, send it to everyone. Everyone does the homework, and then you show up, and it's like, all right, two, three, and it's right there, which is
Hi,
cool.
I'm Reed. Let's get funky.
Yeah, right.
Count it off. No, I really maybe I've been out of it out of the game a little bit. Again, different roles and responsibilities over the last handful of years here, but
Totally.
I wasn't aware of that as a thing. It's a great idea. I like it the way you likened it to an Uber type of
Yeah.
service for working musicians. Maybe it doesn't, scratch the creative itch, but looks like excellent supplemental income.
Oh yeah.
And uh just because we're doing a little research on the fly here, the Diamond Empire Band is what it appears to be out west in Denver, Kansas, St.
Oh,
Louis.
okay. There we go.
And
Yeah,
according
yeah.
to the picture right here, the Diamond Empire, it looks like I know at least a couple of cats in the Diamond Empire photo here.
Okay.
So there you
Right.
go. No, I like that. I wasn't aware. So there you go, International Musicians League. You got yourself a little plug there.
Yeah, right. Which is, it is kind of interesting, just the difference in what the music, I guess the intention of the music, or kind of the application of the music versus like this like jam scene, where, it's original stuff, you're collaborating, you're expressing yourself in these creative ways. Some people, are poo-poo the cover, entertainment sort of style thing. But really, it's like I don't feel like it's lesser than. I feel like it has its place. And, we all love to go out, and when we're on the dance floor, sometimes we like to hear a song that we recognize, and then we can sing along in a sea of people that we are resonating with, and you're dancing and it's fun. It's like, and especially when you're celebrating a birthday, or a couple that's just getting married, it's just always a good vibe. It's always a celebration. So it's like providing a service for people as well. So
I'm living in a town right now where there's original music because of the musicians that do it, but it doesn't
mhm,
seem like there's as much of a thirst for it, at least as I would like. I live we're kind of stuck in cover band purgatory here. Of
mhm,
it's a lot of classic rock, and I like a lot of classic rock. Your Pink Floyd, your Zeppelin, not much
sure.
of an Eagles fan, but that's the kind of stuff you're gonna hear
Yeah.
around here. I do wish, and I'm trying to do my part to get people hungry, thirsty, whatever analogy I'm using right now,
Yeah.
uh, for original music, because that's what musicians want to do. And
Mhm.
it showcases a different side of that person, of their creative spirit, of what they're trying to do musically and artistically. And
Yeah.
I
Well,
don't know.
and it kind of brings it back to something we were just chatting about a little bit earlier, the attention span of people.
What were you just saying?
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
I saw butterfly. I don't know.
Yeah. It's like to sit and listen to music that you've never heard before, and especially like live, and then pay attention, and then open yourself up to feel and resonate with this artist. Like it goes into the feeling realms of the human experience. And man, so much has happened to us as a globe in the last handful of years,
Mhm.
and a lot of trauma, and a lot of wounding as a collective, and individually, um that sometimes going into that feeling space, it doesn't feel good.
Right.
And it's like there's grief involved, and there's all these spaces that are uncomfortable and unpleasant. And so having our phones and our screens constantly stimulating us keeps us from allowing ourselves to like feel, keeps us from doing it distracted.
Right.
So going into, I feel there's a connection there with original music, and people's willingness to have patience in a moment, to listen, and to be still, and absorb and receive an artist sharing themselves. Because once you do that, then I don't want to say like likely, but maybe, like it'll probably open something up within you that maybe either you haven't thought of or felt in a while, or you're actively trying not to feel, or whatever. You know what I
There,
mean?
there's a lot of doors in the human brain that are locked, but the keys are like readily accessible. It just requires a little bit of patience. And, you use the word, I think you used the word, at least I had it in my head of, I think, connectedness or connectivity. And part of it, even before you mentioned phones, there's just you mentioned grief and all these sometimes terrible or just very heavy emotions and vibes and feelings. Sometimes it's not even that heavy or that dark. It's just a disconnect.
Mm.
There's a disconnect in society and between people, and technology certainly has its role to play. And yeah,
Mhm.
world events have their part in it all. But if finding a way to connect with one another probably takes some practice these days. Might have been easier. I don't know.
Oh yeah,
But
it's a muscle.
yeah, we just gotta exercise that muscle and figure out how to connect. It sounds like it should be so easy, but it's not. There's a lot that gets in the way of that. But you know,
Mhm.
it does remind me of my oldest is 6 years old, and I'm sure most of us were, but I know I was the same way when I was a kid. Like, you kind of expect to be good at something right away. Like, I'm interested in
Mhm.
this thing and I'm gonna go do it. It was even for drums. I started drums at 7 or 8 years old. I
Mm.
wanted to do it for such a long time. And finally, my mom got me like a snare drum. This is how you're gonna start. Here's your snare drum. And I hated it. And then it took a couple lessons and got to the point where I was behind the kit, and I kind of hated it because I sucked at it. It's
Yeah.
terrible, of course, and I thought it'd be good. And you want to quit right away. And thank God for mom, but she was like, "You're not quitting yet. You've wanted to do this forever." And
Yes.
so, yeah, you practice and you stick to it and you make, small strides forward, and you start stacking successes or whatever. And that's kind of what needs to happen with all things with between people in society right now. And to find these ways to connect is you just have to kind of try
Mhm.
and just even if it's a small goal, which might mean going out to a local show that you've never seen before and just
Mhm.
give an artist a chance because he's trying to express himself,
Yeah.
or herself, of course.
Right, right, right.
And just finding those little ways, those little moments that unlock something in your brain, and hopefully can push you to a new direction, a new way forward. And getting all sorts of philosophical here now, but
I'm
that,
here
that's
for it.
that's what music can do, and that's why I believe in it so, forthrightly, so heavily, so truly, passionately. Music's an amazing thing, and it has a lot of power, and sometimes you just have to work at it, whether that's performing or listening or whatever extra dimensional powers it might be able to wield.
Mm. Yeah, yeah. I'm seeing that it feels like in society we there's so much content and so like on our phones, there's so much information happening, and there is so much tragedy in the world with wars and political stuff and shootings and like all these things that are, and it's all at our fingertips now. Like when we were kids, when we were 5, 6 years old, we didn't have access to that. It was like if you had that input, it was from the nightly news,
Mhm.
you know. And so it was like a certain time. But other than that, you were in your own zone. And but now it's it's so apparent and we're so aware of it that we can get numb to it,
Right,
right?
right.
And then we get numb to ourselves and we get numb to each other in these deeper ways. And so it seems as though having like if it seems as though we're needing practices as humans to be able to remember how to feel. And
Man, that's a little depressing. I think it's spot on, which is why it's depressing. But I guess the first step toward rectifying a problem is identifying the problem, and I think you're right about that.
yeah, yeah. And music is a incredibly special thing in life where it does have the ability for to loosen us up and get us into the feels because it's sonic. It's like especially it's there's music with lyrics, which I write and people write, and that has its space where, and it's amazing when you resonate and understand an artist's heart through their lyrics, like that can, and you resonate and it can just open you up so much. Also, just instrumental music, because in a certain way, almost, I don't want to say but more, but just differently, because the mind isn't able to dissect lyrics and try to find meaning and go into think. It's just sound, which if you find yourself in a place where you can listen and hear the music, there's the instruments playing together, that in a certain way can kind of unlock certain things kind of in the back channel where you're not, your mind isn't trying to deduce anything or trying to understand anything. You just get present and you start to feel it and you're listening and it starts to open things up. So just music is, it seems like a fucking miracle and so necessary, like such an incredible tool to remember ourselves as humans.
Well said. Well said. Yeah,
Mm.
man. Well, that's I don't know how to top that. So, it's
Yeah, no
probably
topping. You just keep the conversation going.
probably as good a place as any to kind of wrap it up a little bit. So, if you wouldn't mind, mention if you would what some of the venues we might be able to find you at, in and around Twin Cities. Um, if you want to certainly mention any upcoming shows other than the one you've already mentioned on the 26th of October at the Green Room.
Yeah.
But yeah, what are, I guess in speaking in the music scene at large of the Twin Cities, what's happening there? What are the venues to check out, especially if it's, supporting the vibe of music that we're kind of discussing,
Yes.
um, the spirit of improvisation. Maybe I don't want to just relegate things to jam music and that kind of thing, but you know what I mean? Independent
Yeah.
venues that support local music and the spirit of real music. You know what I mean?
Right. I love it. Well, yeah, that venue I was talking about, Green Room, is a, a recognized independent venue, because we have this whole dynamic with Live Nation, and we're looking for independent venues so that we can have more control over what we do and how we do it, and also where the revenue is going, on all of that. So Green Room is an amazing spot locally. The Caboose, if you remember the Caboose.
Still rocking?
Well, so it had a little dark night of the soul where things weren't happening very much there. And then now they have new owners and they're reviving it. And actually, so check this out, Shoeless Revolution and Heatbox. Remember Heatbox?
Oh yeah,
Dude, you should totally talk to Heatbox too.
happily.
He
Great guy.
would, dude, great guy, so fun, so creative. Yeah, definitely get him on. So Shoeless and Heatbox and a woman named Mae Simpson. Are you familiar with Mae Simpson?
It sounds familiar. I can't say I'm over maybe at all familiar, but the name does ring a bell.
Okay. Yeah, she's a local band leader, songwriter, front woman, singer, just killer presence and killer voice, tenacious. She's so great. So great. Um, she has a full band, and the three of us are doing a show the Friday after Thanksgiving, so the day after Thanksgiving,
Beautiful.
at the Caboose, which is really cool. Um, there's a guy named Jeffrey Fish Fishbine who has been hosting a an open mic called Only Every Monday for, I want to say, like 7 or 8 years.
Damn.
It's changed venues throughout that time, and maybe even more, but it's been every Monday. I don't think he's missed a Monday. Even like through the pandemic he did stuff. And right now he's holding it at the Caboose every Monday evening, which is really cool. And back to the Green Room. Green Room has a couple different jam nights. where it's kind of open mic, but then there's like an open mic, and then there's a night where there's a band, like a house band that plays for artists that want to come in and sing. If they have charts or if they just have familiar cover tunes that they want to sing, or that sort of thing. So that's great.
Hell
Really
yeah.
incredible.
I love hearing that.
Yeah,
Well, right on, man. That's all I got for you. I'll let you get
dude.
to it. And
Thank you. I'm so happy this worked out. I'm so happy that you're doing this. Like, what a beautiful service, and like that you're like your intention of bringing awareness to musicians and to the culture that maybe don't get the most airtime, and just to help nurture the culture of the jam scene and of just music making in general. I
the whole COjam thing was, it's a pet project. It's a baby. It's something that I love, and the ability to meet new people and talk music has always been awesome. So we just had to find a new way to do that, and expanding the borders outside of Colorado is it, and it's for the best because Colorado's fantastic, has great musicians, but I know a lot of people outside of Colorado, and you're one of them, and so having these kind of conversations is, if nothing else, purely selfish. It's a way to catch up with old friends and just chat music and
yeah,
forget about some of the outside stresses for a little while. So
sure.
yeah, definitely glad you were able to do this. I appreciate your time, and let's not wait 10, 14 years or whatever it is before we chat
Dude,
again.
I'm already thinking, the wheels are already turning because you're in Wisconsin. Where in Wisconsin?
So just west of Milwaukee, we could call it Milwaukee is home base. Um, but just started playing with a band called Solar Coaster,
Oh,
like an eight-piece horn band type of thing. Um, it's funky, some young cats who can play. I just joined up with them. I think I've only played like 4, 5 gigs with them so far. Uh,
keys or drums?
Drums, back on drums. So Chinese Finger Trap, I was playing keys with, and I'm working on getting my speaking of like pet projects as a songwriter, I'm working on getting my tunes out there with another band. But oddly enough, I found it hard to find a drummer. I
Wow.
never, I've only known a handful of drummers in this area throughout my life. I guess you were one of them. You're a little bit far away,
Sure.
6, 7 hours at this point, but
Yeah.
working on finding a drummer so I can do my own thing. But in the meantime, it's Solar Coaster, and yeah, I'm just keeping busy. Certainly, work has me busy, and family life is a grind for sure. But
Sure.
yeah, man, it's a blessing, is what it is, to be able
Right.
to do all of this, from the COjam to music to family. It's life is good, even at its worst, like on a societal, on a global level, and it's
Right.
not pretty right now, but hey,
Right.
it's
Right.
it's all beautiful, right?
Yeah, right. I mean, life itself is it's endless. Like the possibilities are still open. And looking outside of ourselves, seeing what's going on, it's really easy to have our minds kind of crystallize into, oh, this is just what life is, and this is how I have to operate. But it's like actually we do have this incredible ability to imagine potentials and then give our energy and attention and resources to those potentials to actualize them so that we can actually experience them. And that in itself is a muscle that we need to keep flexing, keep building, because then we get to experience life as we intend it, which when you're in it in the right place, and you care, then you're creating things like amazing experiences, not only for yourself, but for the people that you love, friends, family, and the creator community at large. So,
Oh yeah,
mm,
hell yes. All
yeah.
right, Rick Graham, that'll do it, man.
Yeah, man, we'll definitely be in touch. I have something that will be another conversation that I'll definitely want to drop in with you on.
I can't wait. I can't wait.